Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. Today is the 14th of February, 2024, Valentine's Day, and we have a Mars-Pluto conjunction. So, hopefully you're getting some love from the cosmos today and not a bit of war. But to help quell that probability, we do have Crypto Damus, Robert Weinstein, joining us here this week. Robert, how are you doing?
Doing great. It's doing great. Great to be back here again with you guys. And I think we did a session like a year ago or so. So thanks for inviting me back.
Well, we're glad to have you back, and I think the timing couldn't be better given what's been transpiring in the crypto market, Bitcoin rallying to new multi-month highs, Ethereum joining it as well. So I know that's what everybody wants to hear about from you especially. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we can start off by looking at Bitcoin. And then I know there's some other things you want to discuss as well. So let me just get that on my screen. So new multi-month highs. That's obviously bullish from a technical standpoint, but from geocosmics, what's on your radar right now, Robert?
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, obviously I've been bullish on Bitcoin for, quite a few months. I really flipped strongly bullish back in September, October. My subscribers and my followers on Twitter X know that I was, trying to get people in. One of my rallying calls was, "We FOMO now, they're gonna FOMO later." Okay,
Sure.
I just actually retweeted that from October 1st. So we saw this coming a long time ago. There was just a wide variety of factors really that I think are all lining up for Bitcoin. The biggest one obviously is going to be this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that's coming up in the second half of April. And that's really interesting because that comes, almost to the day of the halving. And I know you're aware of that. I don't know if your subscribers are aware of the halving is a supply reduction, right, for Bitcoin. So let me just pause on the geocosmics for a minute. We've kind of got the perfect bull market storm brewing here
Yeah.
because you've got the spot ETF is bringing in a lot of new demand, right? Financial advisors now all over the world have access to the spot Bitcoin ETF. And I think we've got already several $billion in new money coming into the market. That's going to run up against the supply reduction of the halving, which takes place in the around April 20th or so. And that's every 4 years, there's a supply reduction in the amount of new Bitcoin. So you've got, a classic demand increase is going to run into a supply reduction. And the third factor is, we're looking at peak rate interest rates right here. So interest rates are probably not going higher. We don't know when they're going lower. But certainly we don't have to worry probably about them going higher anytime soon. So a lot of factors, Bitcoin fundamentals and macroeconomics are coming together. And like I said, what's really interesting is that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction right around the halving. And for those who use the Bitcoin inception chart, which I do, it's interesting because the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction takes place at 21 to 22 Taurus,
Yeah.
and that's in a trine to the Bitcoin inception Saturn, which is at 21 Virgo. It's in an exact trine. So things are really coming together here. And when I talked to Ray Merriman, he was kind enough to come on my YouTube channel, I think in the fall, and we were talking about this back then and saying this is probably the biggest opportunity for investors right now in the markets aside from AI. And that has turned out to be correct so far. So I think the crypto market is really just warming up. Of course, the short term, volatility and pullbacks, certainly we could see some before the halving. But I think the big picture, we're sort of just getting started with Bitcoin. And I mean, I think new all-time highs are definitely on the table for Bitcoin in 2024.
Well, what's particularly interesting to me is that, we've seen the breakout accelerate over the last couple of weeks, and it doesn't seem like it's stopping anytime in the immediate future. In a couple of weeks from now, we'll see. But there's been so much Uranian energy, Aquarian energy. I found Venus to be a very important planet for Bitcoin as well. But, later this week, we have that
Yes.
Uranian Aquarian energy continuing with Venus ingressing into the sign of Aquarius on the 16th, and then you have the conjunction between Venus and Pluto the next day, the 17th, and then, between Venus, Mars, and Pluto all being in the sign of Aquarius, to me, that kind of lends itself to continuation of breakouts and breaks of, key technical resistance zones. So I guess my question for
Yeah.
you is, how could this end, and when might it end?
Great point, actually. Aquarius is, our data indicates, is the most important sign for crypto. I mean, you would think it is
Yeah.
because it's the sign of futuristic technology, but indeed it is. And one of my colleagues, S.J. Anderson, has done some great research on the signs and planets. And Venus in Aquarius is actually one of the best Venus placements for Bitcoin. It's just been consistently bullish. Now, of course, this time you have Mars co-present, so maybe that will distort it a bit. But I think overall, you're right. I agree with you. Venus in Aquarius should just be a rally continuation. Now, where I am worried is when we start getting into eclipse season, in particular, the March 25th eclipse. It's at 5 Jupiter, excuse me, 5. Sorry, it's at 5 Libra. And first of all, that eclipse is not good in the Bitcoin inception chart. The Bitcoin natal Mars is at 5 Capricorn, so you've got a partile square there, and it's a south node eclipse. So that one looks like there could be, a correction. And certainly, if we do get a rally on Venus in Aquarius, then we might get overextended by the middle to the end of March. So that would make sense. I mean, who knows where we'll be by then? But that's kind of the next really problem on my radar, is that eclipse. Now, eclipses are very hard, timing wise, they can take effect several weeks before, several weeks after. It's a little hard to judge, but that would be, and most likely that's a buying opportunity, right? Because, historically, most of the bullish price action comes after the halving, and we're still 2 months away from the halving. So really any pullbacks, and we did have a 20% pullback in January, right?
Yeah.
I think it went from 48 back down to 39.
Yeah, it was about almost 22%.
Yeah, so that was the buying opportunity there. And are we going to get another one? I don't know. I think this could run for a while. I don't see anything, really problematic until that eclipse.
Okay. Well, I know there are some other charts and coins that you wanted to discuss. So if you want to share your screen and bring those up, I know that our viewers would definitely enjoy to see that. And then please don't forget to tell us about the Year of the Dragon. We do more Western astrology here at MMA.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah.
I know that there is definitely some interest for that, considering, we just had the new moon last week. So, we just started the Year of the Dragon.
It's very timely. So, I mean, I'm a Western astrologer too, as you know. I'm not an expert in Chinese astrology. I just want to say that, but I am a Chinese medicine. I've been involved with Chinese medicine for 20 years, so I am knowledgeable about some of the Chinese metaphysics, and I do certainly pay attention to some of the Chinese astrology. The Dragon Year is considered to be a lucky year. It's considered to be a kind of a risk-on year. It's a year that moderate risk-taking is rewarded. I went back and I looked at the last 6 Dragon years, right? So it's a repeating cycle every 12 years. And 4 out of the last 6 Dragon years were quite bullish for the S&P 500, had double-digit gains. One of them was flat, and only one of them was down, and that was the 2000 dot-com burst bubble. So that was a metal dragon. I don't know if the metal maybe wasn't the best element. So the element, this is a wood dragon, right? So not only does the animal shift every year, but the elements also shift every 12 years. So repeats every 60 years. So the last wood dragon would have been 1964, and that was a very good year for the S&P 500. So dragon years generally tend to be more bullish, and the wood relates to the energy of spring. In Western astrology, it's a bit like Aries. It has that new growth, fresh new start, very dynamic energy of spring. And the dragon, you know, maybe would be the most similar to like Leo. It's kind of this big, brash, flamboyant, dramatic energy.
Okay.
So I think the wood dragon year will be cool, will be good for markets. We only have one other dragon year in the Bitcoin life cycle. It was 2012, and Bitcoin did quite well in 2012. I think it had a 500% gain. So leans bullish. Also, Bitcoin, by the way, was born in 2009, but it's actually, it falls under the 2008 rat year for Bitcoin, the end of the rat year. And rats actually, dragon years are extremely favorable for both the rat and the monkey. So just another thing that's lining up for Bitcoin. Rats tend to do quite well in the dragon year. And so overall, our analysis is that the dragon year just gives us another bullish indication.
Okay. That's fantastic. Did you have something to share on your screen? Because I
Oh,
still have mine.
let me see here.
Okay.
Yeah, are you, I think I'm still seeing your screen. So
Yeah, you
can
can
I,
go if you just start sharing, then
oh, okay.
it'll take over.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go to my trading view page here. And okay, let me just go. Well, first of all, I want to share with you this Bitcoin chart that is the main chart. Not messing around with a lot of short-term trend stuff here. Let me want to go to the monthly. I'm going to put on the Heikin Ashi candles, which some of you might know. They just kind of clarify the trend a bit. This is the monthly chart. So every candle here is 1 month. So I don't know how many, you know, I know you guys cover a lot of stocks, commodities, crypto, oil, bonds,
Yeah.
everything, currencies. You know, I'm really kind of focused on Bitcoin, and this is the really the chart, right? I mean, you can see the cycles really repeating here, going all the way back to a parabolic run in 2013, you know, followed by that really, really harsh wipeout year in 2014-15, followed by the parabolic rally into a new all-time high wipeout year. And most recently, again, parabolic rally into 2021, followed by that 2022 brutal wipeout year. So this, you know, we can't say for sure what's going to happen next, but the pattern is repeating. And if you're a
Yeah.
technical, you know, chart person, you can see what I'm saying. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see where this rocket is going. I mean, new all-time high, we're really in closing in on the old all-time high of 67, 68,000. We basically, I mean, if you look at this, you know, basically the FTX crash, like the
Yeah.
eclipses in
Yeah.
2022, it was basically a bullish retest on the monthly, successful bullish retest. I mean, um, it bounced right off that basically the old highs of 2017. And now we're going back into that parabolic uptrend, which we've seen every single time it's broken out of the year-long downtrends. So this is a repeating pattern. And you know, I wouldn't really recommend selling a lot of Bitcoin until at least we match the old all-time high or go above it. And that would probably be a place you'd want to take some profits and then, you know, let it ride for a bit longer. You know, one thing we've looked at too, which I'll share with you guys, is let me see if I have this chart here I want to share with you guys. A little bit complicated, this chart, but essentially the previous two times, I mean, also look at this monthly MACD. I mean, this thing just has enormous room to go higher. I mean, very simple technical signal here, not rocket science again. Certainly, you know, could go well above the old sort of technical highs here. But the one thing I think is really important, again, is to kind of know where we are in the Bitcoin cycle, right? Um, and the previous couple of times, it's been pretty consistent from the low to the high. It's been about 35 months, both previous
Yeah.
cycles, 34, 35. And then from the halving, which is that supply reduction event, it's been 17 months to the highs in the both previous cases. So that takes us out to about Q4 2025, roughly. Now, again, we don't know for sure. Is it going to play out exactly the same? We don't know. But, you know, that's been pretty consistent So you probably want to continue to have some exposure going into 2025. Now, what I would say is you probably want to be closing out completely at the end of 2025 because, then you're kind of due for that wipeout year. And
Yeah.
so I think for crypto, we're looking at like a 12 to 18 month play here for some real great opportunities. And certainly we'd be taking profits along the way at certain targets, not just waiting for some all-time high top. But
Of course.
the other chart I wanted to show was and I showed Gianni this before. This is the altcoin market chart. I'm just gonna go to the regular candles, and the altcoin markets really, I think, you want to pay attention to right now because a small allocation here, and again, we were giving the buy signals back in September, October, November on altcoins like Injective at like $7. It's now at 35. Link at $7, now at 20. Small allocation here can go a long way. I'm not saying people should go, with big risk exposure, but the altcoin market, this is the chart excluding the big boys, Bitcoin and Ethereum, which really dominate, just had a major breakout on the weekly here. Okay, so this is really big. And then there's no technical resistance until about a 25% move up from where we just broke out. So there's some great altcoin possibilities here for some short-term traders to make, to have some good profits. And yeah, so this is right now, it's a 529 billion market cap on the altcoins. We think it could go up to 625, 640 before having a bigger correction. So that was one. That was the other thing we wanted to look at. So those are the kind of things we're looking at right now in the crypto markets. Looking at
Wow,
the big picture, not doing a lot of day trading here.
yeah. Well, the trend is your friend, and generally speaking, the greatest magnitude of price moves will be in the direction of the underlying trend. So, most people don't day trade. Most people are, position trading or, looking to hold for, several months at a time. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you very much for that, Robert. Where can our viewers find you and learn more about the work that you do?
Well, let's see. I have my website is www.astrocryptoreport.com. That has most of my information laid out on there. And also, I'm, fairly active on Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days, at Astro Crypto Guru. Put out a lot of free market analysis on there and astrology talk stuff too. And again, one of the big things we were been really big on AI stocks. With Pluto and Aquarius, we didn't even talk about, but we think that's a really big indicator for AI, robotics, crypto, also quantum computing. We've been covering as well. So we do some stock coverage. We're covering about 10 to 15 stocks. Unfortunately, Tesla hasn't done that well, was one of our big recommends, but NVIDIA and supermicrocomputer are just going completely parabolic, which we picked since last year in the AI sector. So there's a lot of opportunities out there right now in 2024. This bull market is going, and I think the one thing I want to say is I think we're good, until we hit that Jupiter Saturn square in the summer.
Yeah, not in August. Yeah.
So yeah, you can find me on my website there and on Twitter. I have a Patreon subscription service that's similar to you guys. We put out monthly and weekly reports on Bitcoin, altcoins, and some of those select stocks. And all that information is on the astrocryptoreport.com.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for joining us, Robert. You can find all of MMA's reports at www.mmacycles.com. And this week, we will also be publishing our Shanghai report. Since the Chinese markets were closed this week for the new year, we'll be issuing that on Monday. And we also have Ray's webinar coming up this weekend, which I would encourage you all to attend. And again, details can be found at our website, mmacycles.com. So thanks again for joining us, Robert. We'll have you back again soon.
Thanks a lot. Have a happy Dragon Year, everybody.
Thank you.